Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Friends with Businesses, where I introduce you to my friends with businesses, and I know that you will benefit. If you're interested in being a guest on the show and we're friends, please visit friendswithbusinesses.net. And if you are ready to grow your business and scale it, please reach out to me at friendswithbusinesses.net or anywhere on social media. My goal is before the end of the year to help to hyper monetize 50 businesses. So come find out what that means. All right, great. But today I am here with Ms. Karin Coger, Esquire. So she's a lawyer, y'all. So she's really smart, and that means I can't, say anything crazy because she will let the record show like Clay Huxtable on me. But as I said, this is Friends with Businesses, and so I've known Karin for like what 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
We met through some Hamptonians. Ryan and Brian, they had this group called R&B, and it's a recess thing. It was a whole lot of fun. Again, it was a decade ago, and a lot has changed in everybody's life since then, right? Even though they're an older generation of Hamptonians. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Just I was the youngest in the group, and I like that. Because I'm still in my 20s, right? Yeah, okay. But yes, Karin, please introduce yourself. Let the people know, and then we're gonna jump right into this amazing field that you're in.
All right. Thank you very much, Carl. Hi, everybody. My name is Karin Coger. I am the founder and the managing attorney of Coger Law Firm. So we are a boutique firm. We are located in South Jersey. However, we mainly practice in the area of intellectual property law. So my practice consists of trademarks, copyright, small business law, contracts, and now NIL, which stands for name, image, and likeness for student athletes. I do tell people that NIL existed prior to 2021, but it's getting a spotlight on it because the NCAA just allowed it for student athletes a couple of years ago.
Yes, thank you so much. So, intellectual property is one of those things that is extremely important to small business. I just filed the trademark for Friends with Businesses. Did the easy route all by myself, and I'm like, I should have called Karin. Um, I'm trying to be cheap. Next time, I promise you will get a call from me because I'm never going to do that again in my life. Um, but yeah, so because so many times we have ideas and even slogans or titles, logos, all that type of stuff, and it's just out there. And all it takes for it to get too big, and then somebody like, you know what? I'm going to take it instead. So please talk to me about, what should every business owner, especially small businesses, know about what you do and how important your role is in even the everyday operations?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that people don't realize is that you should research your trademark first. You should do that before you even register your business, because what if you go to register your business name? And this is what happens for a lot of folks. They register their business name, they get their EIN, they start their business, they set up all their social media, they set up their domains, and a few years down the line, they say, "Oh, let me go pay attention to that, trademark now," and come to find out it's already been taken. So I always tell people, even if you do not file right away, which you should, you need to do the research right away to make sure that that name is available. And I know that you said that you filed on your own, and it's definitely possible for people to file on their own successfully. But one of the things that happens is when you file with an attorney is we do a deeper search um, than the average person. If you just do a Google search or you just do a search of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, you'll typically find marks that are registered, but they are typically looking at the literal marks. So, um, for instance, what's the name of the podcast? One more time.
Friends with Businesses.
Friends with Businesses. All right. I'm sure there's probably a trademark out there that's friends with benefits. So there is a possibility. That's something that we would point out to you as the business owner. Like, listen, your mark is very close to this mark. And there is a possibility that this may come up during your application. Another thing that people don't realize is that when you file for your trademark, there are a number of different classes and goods that they can file in. So you're not necessarily just filing one trademark. It is a trademark per class per good. So an example would be filing a trademark to advertise your podcast. It would be a separate trademark for apparel for your podcast. There would be a separate trademark for hats for your podcast. So again, I just encourage people to do the trademark search early, file early. You don't have to have been in business yet. You can file what's called an intent to use mark, and that helps to reserve your mark even though you're not using it yet, but you want to use it sometime in the near future.
So, just out of curiosity, right? I'm gonna ask this question: how much do you charge for this? Because I know how much I paid.
Okay. So I charge at minimum, it's $3,000 charge, which we do enable people to break up that charge either in two payments, or we also use affirm.com if any of you guys are familiar with that. And what I tell people is with that charge, they will say frequently, well, why should I pay you that much? Can't I just use one of the services online or LegalZoom? And the difference is with those services, they process paperwork for you. And when you file with me, you get me. So with me, I hold your hand through this entire process. Right now, it's taking approximately 18 months for trademark applications to go through. So again, a lot of the work is on the front end, which has to do with your research. So we can do that process first, and then when you're ready, we will go ahead and file, hopefully within 2 weeks of doing that research, because the research can change. You know, within that 2 weeks, another brand can pop up that has the same, or a similar name. Now, during the trademark process, there is a possibility that they will issue what's called an office action. And this is where the second area in which the attorney really is important, because the trademark office will contact the filer, state these are things that I find wrong with your application, or we have found that your mark is substantially similar to another mark, that it could possibly cause confusion, and you have to respond to that office action and essentially argue why your mark should be granted. So that is the second major area in the trademark process. And then the third area is, what if your mark is, you go through all that and your mark is still refused? So that's the third area. The fourth area is if you go through this whole process and the trademark office says, we are willing to grant you this trademark, but every mark is published for opposition. So that means the trademark office puts out the Gazette, a bulletin once a week, and it lists all of the marks that are going to be published. And anybody has 30 days to oppose your mark or say, you know what, I think that mark is very similar to mine. So oftentimes people get through the whole process and they're all excited. We're down to those 30 days. Sometimes a company will come in on day 29 or day 30, and they will file an opposition, which essentially is litigation for your trademark.
So they just come in hating. I suppose you know something, right? All right, I'm scared now.
I didn't mean to scare you.
I paid
But
my
again,
$350.
yeah, but again, this is something that we do talk about at the beginning of the process. We try to anticipate if you still want to go forward with your mark. You might encounter these hiccups. There are certain businesses that are more litigious than others. So, for instance, you have a mark that's similar to Apple. Just know Apple is coming
Oh
for you.
man,
you
yes.
know, Disney's coming for you. But there are even smaller businesses that, again, we will do the research and we'll be able to identify, hey, if you want to go forward, these are the hurdles that you may have. Now, I always tell people there's no guarantee that your mark is going to be granted, whether you use an attorney or not, but we try to help you along this process.
Yeah. So like I said, I did the cheap route. I paid the 350, right? And did it all on my own. And so I'll be honest with you, right? I filed it for apparel and I filed it for a few things, right? So
Mhm.
more than 350. Then what happened was I go and I launch my podcast,
Okay.
right? Called Friends with Bill. I'm like, look, the application's in, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do this. Hopefully it come out right. If not, I'll change the name to something else. I'm not scared. And as soon as I do, I say, hey, go look for my podcast, Friends with Businesses. Guess what? There's already a podcast called Friends with Business Podcast. I didn't look for it
Hmm.
because I looked for. I'm like, look, I just want the trademark. That's the main thing. 'Cause I got other things I'm gonna do with this. Um, like I want to trademark. Whatever use it. Then somebody said, Carl, this doesn't look like you. I'm like, it doesn't. Only I look like me, and so it was like a different color scheme, and they haven't published anything for like 3 years now, and all that stuff. And there is not. I did, do it. I mean, I didn't. Of course, it was not a thorough search, but I did a cursory search to at least see if there was any podcast that had filed for it, and there had not been. Nothing in media had filed for it. Um, and so just and I was like, oh shoot, I really didn't know. Like I didn't even look for a podcast called this. So that's why, I mean, and I'll hey y'all, I will be you'll tell people I'm your cautionary tale. That you actually do need someone like Karin to do this because I feel like I'm pretty smart. I'm actually a certified Google searcher. I actually took the class and I'm certified in how to search for Google. I'm an ethical hacker, so I know how to even do all these crazy ways of searching and things of that nature. I'm the Google dorking and stuff like that. And did not find Friends with Business podcast before mine came out. All that to say, folks need this. And I know I don't want to keep you long, but you said so many things, that you actually do. So everybody, if you need to do your trademark, so even if you stop right here and you're like, hey, I need to call her right now or hear her right now, go visit cogerlawfirm.com. That's www.coger coger lawfirm.com right now. Set up your consultation, and tell them Carl sent you. Maybe she'll kick me out of the company
Absolutely.
because and maybe she'll give me some free service. Like tell them, I'll get enough of y'all go. Then maybe she'll come and she'll defend me when these people come and try to take my podcast away. Here we go. With that being said, I do want to make sure that we hit that as well. Um, and as you talked a lot about NIL, name, image, and likeness, which is become a hot topic over the year. We happen to have a mutual friend whose daughter is one of the highest paid NIL folks in the country right now.
Yes.
On the women's side, after winning the championship at LSU, and Angel Reese. We all met in that same group, and I've
Mhm.
done some photography for Angel and some other things with the family, and that's kind of what everybody sees, these huge million, trillion, billion-dollar deals, which is great, but I work with a number of youth basketball organizations, and I see some of these students they coming in. Middle school is winning dunk contests, which is crazy to me. Let me know that at 5'8", I never had any business trying to be out there. But what would you say to these parents? I was actually just talking to my housekeeper yesterday, and her son is in the eighth grade, and he's shining in football, and she's like, I don't know what to do next. He's getting scouted already. Please, let's open up that door for these parents who have their students who really have the potential to, of course, make it at the highest level, but even there may be some opportunities now that we want to do.
The number one advice that I have for parents is to book a consultation with an attorney. And I say that not just
www.cogerlawfirm.com.
right. And I say that jokingly, but not jokingly, because even though NIL is available for college students, it is not available for all high school students. So I actually do have an NIL Facebook group, and somebody today just asked, I don't want to mess up my son or daughter's eligibility. They're in high school. Can they get an NIL deal in Florida? No, they can't. So what is
Hmm.
happening is um, the excuse me, the NCAA, they have their rules. There is no federal rule for NIL. All the states have their different rules. So you want to make sure that you research the rules for your high school or even junior high student in that state, because they may not be eligible. And trust me, the money that you think you're going to get when your child is perhaps a sophomore and they drop this NIL deal, you don't want to mess up their eligibility, for that. But I always tell the parents that there are things that they can do in order to prepare them to get NIL deals in the future. Now, for parents of student athletes who are already in college, same advice. You want to talk to an attorney. So before we got on, Carl and I were talking. There was a story that just dropped. So this former student who is signed to the Chicago Bears, so it's, I may be pronouncing it incorrectly, but it's Jevron Dexter Sr.
Hmm.
He filed an NIL deal with Big League Advance Fund 2 LLC, and he filed a lawsuit stating that this deal was against Florida law. I can tell you by reading this story that there was not an attorney that was there independently representing this student athlete at that time. So, to
Mm.
make a long story short, essentially what they said and what was included in this NIL deal is that he was going to get a lump sum of over $400,000. However, in this deal, the company that signed him would receive 15% of his pre tax NFL earnings for the span of 25 years. That is just unconscionable. It's completely against the law. And like I said, I can guarantee you that absolutely nobody was looking out, for this student athlete.
Mm.
So I talk to parents a lot, and I do talk to some parents exclusively, but unfortunately, there are some student athletes whose parents don't necessarily know what to do, or they may not have that student athlete's um, best interest at heart. And a lot of times people are looking at that money that people are going to give them today, and they're not reading these contracts. So not
Mm.
only was that contract unconscionable, there are a lot of rights that these student athletes are signing away because they're getting these contracts and just signing them. So just think, um, whenever we go to a website, there's terms of services. We just click the box, and say, and say, okay. And we have no clue what we're signing away. But these student athletes are doing this with money right there in their face, and they have no clue what they're giving away in these NIL deals.
So, so yeah, I want to go a little deeper into that, because we don't necessarily always do risk assessments. We see numbers and we make moves. And I want to back up a bit with what you first started about, because I know we had a conversation a while back, when Virginia first started allowing NIL for high school students, and you mentioned about eligibility, that there are still, even if your state allows it, if you want to go to a college in a state that doesn't, how does that? Yeah.
That would require a little bit of research. So
Uh huh.
again, you can definitely, do the Google search. So let's say you are, in Virginia and they allow high school students to have, NIL deals, but they're going to go to a college in a state that does not allow so. You need somebody to do that research for you and double check whether or not that NIL deal will hold up, will be valid, and won't make them ineligible.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's and y'all, I want to reemphasize that. I talk about this a lot. Every coach needs a coach. Just remember this: every coach needs a coach. I'm a business coach. Some people, I'm a business solution architect, but some people call me a coach, which is fine. But guess what? I have coaches,
Right.
who tell me what to do because of their level of expertise. Yes, it is a possibility that I could go out on my own, learn everything there is to know about everything, but the likelihood of doing that is very, very, very slim. And in which case, I'll become an expert in nothing. So what you want to do is look for the experts in what you're doing and what you want to get into. Because yes, you may be great. Your child may be great on the field, and you may be great at Google, but you're not an attorney. And you might be an attorney, but are you a intellectual property attorney, which is completely different. So that's one of the reasons why I like to have people on here who have expertise, is because we as business people get into so many different things on our own. Because in the era of YouTube, in the era of algorithms, selling you things, people can make you think that anything you want to do, you can do DIY.
Yeah.
And there are a number of things you can do DIY, but there are certain things you just don't want to chance it. You really, really, really do not. Like, if you got a plug in your house and you don't want to Google that, you want to call an electrician. If you're filing a trademark or a patent or copyright, don't just Google it and go to uspto.gov and run with it. Go to www.cogerlawfirm.com, and have at least have the consultation. Because I learned things even today that I had no idea about, and had I known those things, I probably would have made a different decision moving forward. Yes, I still would have filed a trademark, but I would have done it in a way that was a little bit more protected.
Yes.
And that being said, so I wanted to really jump on that and remind, people, even as Karin was just mentioning about this contract. This man is in the NFL now, and somebody's trying to lay claim to 15% of his pre-tax earnings, which is utterly preposterous. Do they really think they're Uncle Sam? Come on, let's stop this. Even God don't ask for that much. Okay. So, yeah, I really appreciate you. You going down that path. So, but even as you have said, set up a consultation. So what happens in these consultations when somebody comes? So I want people to know what to expect when they meet with you, the value, even in just having the first conversation.
Okay. So I can only speak for my firm.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
only talking about me. I'm not.
so
Okay, let me just tell you this. So Carl Gray the third of Launch with Carl, Friends of Business podcast, business solution architect, is not recommending you go to any attorney. That's not what he's saying. I'm only recommending that you go to Coger Law Firm. Now, I may have another lawyer on here because this is Friends with Businesses, and I'm
Mhm.
introducing you to my friends with businesses, so you can benefit from them. I can only vouch for her right now. Again, like I said, I know some of y'all are like, I want to get on next. I will holler at you, whatever. But I'm telling you right now, I'm only vouching for. I'm not saying just go find an attorney because we all know we've seen movies. I was watching Suits for the third time. Um, you might be little Mike Ross, but just can't said. I'm not saying I'm not telling you to go to any attorney. I'm saying reach out to Karin. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, like in anything, there's levels to this ish. So, there's that first 15-minute discovery call. It might be with me, it might be with a member of the staff. And that is to determine whether the matter or the problem that you're calling about is something that we can handle. If so, then there is the option of either a 30-minute consultation or a hour strategic session. So what's the difference between the two? The 30 minutes, we're going to talk about things on a cursory level. There will be a consultation agreement, and it states that it is just a consultation, and we will talk about your NIL, trademark, small business matter. The strategic session is more so kind of like for like people like Carl, who can do it on their own. However, during the strategic session, we do allow up to 5 pages of contract review. So sometimes you just need somebody to look over your contract. That's what we will do during the strategic session. Or if you say, you know what, I want to open a business, but I need to plan out how to do these things. That's what a strategic session is for. Now, after that, if you want to go forward with a trademark or with a copyright, there are additional fees for that, and you do become a client of the firm. Now, if you sign up for either the consultation or the strategic session, and you become a client of the firm, within 3 business days, the money that you pay for those consultations or those sessions will be forwarded to the money for your full service. So as I said, we start at 3,000 for trademarks, but we handhold you that entire time.
No, that's amazing. And my thought is, my belief is, if somebody is filing a trademark, a patent, copyright, anything like that, uh, they plan to make money from it, right? So this
Correct.
isn't like just going out and buying a shirt for $3,000.
Hmm.
You're actually, it's more of an investment than anything because it's an investment in protection. The amount of money that I pay for protection is worth my life. It's worth
Exactly.
the life of the business. So yeah, I mean, it actually makes sense. Because one day I'm hoping this will blow up and make man, I could be the next David Shan or something. Uh,
Exactly. And you can
yeah.
sell your podcast, or you can license other
Mhm.
materials that stem from this. So that is what our firm is about. We want to help you, number one, protect your IP, but also monetize it, grow it, and if you want to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. And I know I keep jumping back and forth between my situation and this NIL thing, um, because they feel like they're one and the same. I feel like a high school kid who just found his life away. But but that being said, so just give you just one of the things that I ran into. Again, as I said, I work with a basketball organization, um, uh, and what we were doing, we had a student and he was going into his senior year of college, right? And we put together this whole branding and marketing pack, again, business solution
Hmm.
type situation, where, we were going to create a character for him, do the apparel, do the local things where he'll be able to, find the businesses and make sure that they're properly, he's making the money back and all this type of stuff. Ended up not moving forward, but it was a learning experience for me as well to see how involved the process actually is, even with dealing with the attorneys as
Yeah.
well. And let me tell you, these attorneys, when you're talking to them, y'all some dogs. Y'all don't play. Like y'all really don't play. Um, because it's like no, well, my client needs this. Well, if this happens, then what are you doing? Are you getting? Well, what is he? And it's really that advocacy piece that can give somebody the peace of mind to be able to go into something like this, or even just being able to it helps you sleep at night.
Right.
That somebody is protecting you. So I mean, I appreciate what you're doing for this, and I don't want to keep you long because I know that you're very, very busy. But couple things. So as like I said, you know me for a while, and actually you met me when it was this political type of stuff. And so I try to get into this, and y'all still be going crazy on these topics. So I've laid out a whole lot. Y'all still be talking about you putting, y'all just be going in, okay, on the social media. Like, good gracious. But one thing that is near and dear to my heart is our community, right? And I'm really good. I'm spreading my good news that I feel like I got from the real good news that there is not a problem in our community. When I say ours, I'm about Black people. In our community that does not have an entrepreneurial solution. That is
Correct.
my belief. Not a business solution, an entrepreneurial solution, meaning we're solving a problem. So tell me where you come in our solution. Yeah,
I
I
would
want to start with
say first and foremost with education. When it comes to my area of the law, most people do not have education about it. Like they'll throw around words like trademark and copyright, and some people don't know the difference between the two. So that's number one. When it comes to working with clients or potential clients, what do you have? Where are the assets that you're able to trademark and copyright? And I say those two because I don't do patents. Patent is another area of the law. They actually take a separate bar. So I would refer somebody out to to a patent. Yeah, they take two bars. So they got to take the regular bar and they got to take the patent bar. So I'm
that.
going to refer that out. So my biggest contribution to the community is education because the more you know, the better you are.
I really appreciate that, and our history. I mean, historically speaking, the way that our ideas has been stolen from us.
Absolutely.
Like, I
From
mean,
stem cells to inventions to liquor,
music. Come on,
beaches.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, I 1,000% agree. So y'all heard it here first. We need to put our intellectual property attorneys and advocates at the forefront of what we're doing, because even just our ideas need to be protected. Um, and so my last question is, you can pick one or the other, okay? What is the best piece of advice you've ever received or ever given that has helped you to get to where you are?
Invest in yourself and invest in coaching, like you just said. I've had a number of coaches since I've opened the law firm. I've taken a number of classes, and they have stemmed from free. A lot of professionals do give out free webinars, and you have these podcasts. But if you want to get to the next level, sometimes there is an investment. And again, it's best to bet on yourself and invest in yourself. Like you said, you don't know everything. Find somebody that knows more about what you want to do and whether or not they can get you from point A to point Z. So I will say I had a particular coach for a year. This coach, I am no longer with them. Um, and I'm no longer with them because they gave so much value that I used something that I was coached on every day in my business. I had so much coaching that I'm like, I don't have time to actually do the work. So I actually had to step back from that
Mm,
coach. So I
mm.
will always, big up this coaching community that I had, because they gave so much, and I would not be where I am today without the coaching, without leadership. So definitely invest in yourself, invest in your intellectual property. Almost anybody that owns a business has some form of intellectual property, whether it is a contract that needs to be reviewed, whether it is a logo that needs to be, filed with the trademark office, or even the content that you produce, which can be copywritten.
You mean like all these episodes? Okay, so let me go to www.cogerlawfirm.com. So yeah, I mean I've said it like 50 different times, but if somebody does want to reach you, what can we put in the show notes for them to be able to reach you, because they need to reach you, because all of these
um,
people are listening entrepreneurs.
just your name.
Yeah. Tell them Carl Gray the third, business solution, like the dude with the dreads. So many things. That's me. I went over there. So yeah, so please reach out. Um, Again, we have to protect ourselves the same way. Whether you have an alarm system, whether you have firearms, whatever you use to protect your house, that is necessary. You need to have of the same caliber to protect your intellectual property. So thank you so much, Corinne. I know you have to run, but you took the time to talk to my friends, and you're my friend with the business, and I know we've all benefited today. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed.